So there I was in my incubator room with this egg in my hands. I had a spray bottle and a paper towel that was moist and a screw that I was using to crack the eggshell. You see, as you saw in the last video, I had a bunch of goslings that just hatched, but as I was getting towards the end of the hatch, there were still 2 eggs that hadn't fully hatched, but the goslings had pipped, meaning that they'd already been poking their beaks out, but they just didn't seem like they were able to get their shell open for one reason or another. So when that situation happens, what I'll usually do is give them about 48 hours or so to get themselves out. And if they can't get out, what I'll try to do is an assisted hatch. I've had times in the past where we've done an assisted hatch and it's failed miserably. I've also had a couple of instances this past season where I've gotten a couple of birds out and they've been able to develop and grow up pretty well so far. But yesterday morning was unusually difficult for me because I was feeling so under the weather. You see, the day before I'd gotten my second dose of the COVID vaccine, and you know, sometimes you can have that reaction where it's sort of like you have a flu, and I was feeling it yesterday. I was achy and sore and miserable and didn't want to get out of bed. I was oscillating between sweating like crazy and feeling like I was freezing. And there I was though, because I had the farm. I had gotten up and gone out and done my chores. And I was also here trying to rescue these baby goslings. And you know, it's moments like that that make you realize that this farming thing isn't just a career choice or a job choice. It very much is a lifestyle and a vocation. And you've got to be able to act regardless of how you're feeling, and you got to be able to do what's best for your animals, even when it's the last thing you want to personally be doing at that moment. But you know, there I was, working to try to get these 2 goslings out and doing my absolute darndest to save a couple of lives. How you doing there, Toby dog? Good to see you, pal. Are you staying cool? You taking care of yourself? Drinking plenty of fluids? It's about 75 degrees today. Definitely a departure for this time of year here in Vermont. Boy, it looks like Mother Goose kicked out an egg. I don't know, Toby. She seems to have kicked this one out of her nest. Does this mean you don't want it? I also see you have that other one sitting there too. You're doing a good job there, Mother Goose, even though I think you make a lot of the internet mad. Yeah, Toby dog, this is your reward for giving up your house. It's a good cause and you know it. There you go, Toby, eat up. Hey, get out of there. That's for Toby. I think Toby doesn't like this egg. I think it's because it's a bad egg. Like, he can tell that it's a rotten egg. Mother Goose didn't want it, and Toby didn't want it either. All right, buddy. I'll have to wash out your bowl before I feed you dinner. Hey, don't you be getting any ideas there, chickens. Chickens still haven't been using their nesting boxes. They keep kicking out the straw. Hopefully they'll get the picture soon. That said, they do like their new roosts. I got to admit to you guys that this year's hatching season isn't exactly going the way I hoped it would. You know, I had big, audacious plans of hatching out 150 of my own goslings, and I am certain at this point that I'm going to fall well short of that number. So far, I've hatched about 25 or 26. I've got probably 2, maybe 3 more batches of goslings coming, but in each of those batches, I'm doing a lot fewer eggs because the geese are laying fewer eggs. I've got several mother geese who volunteered to hatch out their own babies, but even if they're totally successful, I'm not sure how many goslings are actually going to come from their efforts. And when it comes down to it, the main reason I'm underperforming in terms of the number of goslings I'm producing on the farm, it comes down to the fact that my hatching rate is just terrible right now. You know, in the first class of goslings this year, I put 48 eggs in the incubator, ended up getting 11 goslings. In my second round, I had 45 eggs in the incubator, and then ended up getting about 15 goslings that ultimately hatched. And again, that's pretty low performance. You know, it's funny, as I've been taking a pulse from a lot of folks who've been buying hatching eggs for us, their success rate's been about 50% or even a little bit better than that, which is surprising given the fact that my percentage rate has been a lot lower. If I looked at what I did last year, I was at about 50% hatching rate. I don't know what's going on here as I underperform. The biggest variable I have is the fact that I have this new incubator that I've been using. I used to use one of those little styrofoam incubators and hand turn everything, but I opted to upgrade this year and bought a big new fancy incubator. I gotta tell you guys right now, this thing is seriously underperforming. I mean, I don't know if it's user error or equipment problems, but it's not doing what I need it to do. You know, I'm monitoring my temperature very carefully. I'm using the auto turning feature. I'm doing all the things I'm supposed to be doing. I'm letting the eggs cool daily, but there's something going on that's just not quite right that's giving me this low hatching rate. And so yeah, things on the farm are not going nearly the way I expected or the way I'd hoped. But that said, I still have a bunch of goslings to be grateful for. Hey goslings. What I got? How's it going there, Jerry? We've nicknamed the gosling that has the bad legs and is underdeveloped. Her nickname's become Jerry for Gerald Ford. We don't know if she's a boy or a girl, but I don't know. Allison's taken to calling her Jerry. She's definitely suffering from failure to thrive. I mean, remember, she's about 2 weeks old at this point, and you look at her, and then you look at these goslings who are about 3-4 days old, some of them, and you can tell that she's just not nearly as strong. She's one that's just definitely been a weaker gosling. There's a second gosling you can see here that also seems very underdeveloped. So to the story I started this video with about rescuing the gosling out of the egg, there were 2 that I was able to rescue. One of them made it, another one didn't. This is the one that made it. And I'm actually starting to question whether or not it was the right thing to do to help her out. I don't know if she's ever gonna quite develop right. Maybe she's just gonna have an awkward first couple of weeks and turn into a normal bird. Maybe not. Only time's gonna tell. But you can clearly see some developmental differences and issues compared to the other birds. Aw. Don't step on your sibling. Oh. You know, there's a lot of people who would say that I really should just put these birds down. But when it comes down to it, they don't seem to be suffering. They're definitely struggling a little bit, but they also seem like they're doing okay. So I'm gonna keep letting them live their natural lives. Maybe they make it all the way to adulthood, maybe they don't. But when I talk about a farm that values the lives of its animals, sometimes providing them the best possible life given their circumstances is the right thing to do. I don't know though. Like I said, this gosling season isn't quite going the way I'd hoped it had been. I'm definitely learning some things here this gosling season and have a lot of work to do to improve my operation. I think the other thing that's worth acknowledging is the fact that I do have a lot of healthy birds. And those healthy birds are deserving of celebration too. Hey guys, how's it going? How are you doing? As far as how these goslings are doing, they have definitely entered into their awkward dinosaur stage. You know, it's funny with goslings. It happens really quickly. You know, between that first week and their second week, they go from being the cute fluff balls you just saw in our other brooder to little monsters like this who you can clearly see as precursors to adult geese. They're even starting to get their feathers. And they're starting to jump up and climb absolutely everywhere. Like you can see, like look closely. You can see those early feathers are starting to form on this one. You can see their bill has drastically changed in terms of its size. And then just in terms of size in general, they've just gotten so much bigger. Okay, down you go, little one. But I still think they are pretty darn adorable. These little ones are only gonna have about another week inside this brooder before I take them outside. I'll still give them heat lamps at night to keep them warm when the temps drop, but during the day when the sun's out, they will be fine. That means I'll begin the transition of them going outside to be full-time adult geese very soon. You know, as I started this video talking about the challenges of farming and how even when you're sick, you need to be out there taking care of your animals. I think one of the other lessons and challenges that comes with farming is how you've got to constantly be focused on learning and getting better and improving year after year. And with each season, you're gonna make some new discoveries and learn some things and screw some new things up. Even though I felt like last year I learned a lot and was getting better this year, I think I have improved this year. I mean, I'm hatching more goslings this year than I did last year, but I also think I have a lot more to learn. And it's one of those things where each repetition gets you better. You know, unfortunately though, the way raising geese works, you have an annual cycle, so you only get 1 year to do it. So even if I do this for say 40 or 50 years, which would be kind of crazy just in its own right, I'll only get 50 chances to do this. You can think of a lot of things where if you do it 50 times, you can get pretty good, but you never quite cross that Malcolm Gladwell style threshold of 10,000 hours. And so even though this year has not gone quite the way I wanted it to or expected it to or hoped it would so far, I'm very grateful for it and all the lessons that are coming from it. And I'm also prepared for the chance that maybe some other parts of the farm are gonna surprise us. Like maybe I hatch a bunch of goslings naturally this year. Fingers crossed on that one. Seeing as it's such a warm day out today, I did figure I'd give my little goslings a chance to explore the outdoor world for the first time. Come on, Toby, don't scare them away. Come on, guys, you can go outside. And don't be afraid of the big shaggy monster. He's cool. Toby, hey, don't scare them. It's okay, guys. If you want, you can try to go outside. No? You're not ready for it yet, huh? Well, I'm not gonna push you to something you're not ready for, okay? Here, I'll give you more grass though.